Okay, super. Okay. All right. So welcome everybody. And I wanted to get started with just thanking you for being here. And we are recording this, but I am going to go ahead and stop the recording at the end of the presentation. And then any questions that you want answered that you might have put into the chat, those will be answered at that time and they will not be recorded. I do that just to protect everybody's privacy. So if you do have a question, what I do ask that you do during the presentation is just stay on mute and then put your questions in the chat. And then I will go ahead and answer those questions as soon as we are all set. So I just want to make sure here that everybody can see. Is everybody seeing the 3 truths about health? Can you just give me a quick thumbs up in the chat to let me know? And I do this just to make sure that, perfect. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate it. Okay, wonderful. So I'm confident that once you hear the 3 truths about health, that you're never going to look at your wellness in the same way again. So to get started, as I said, I wanted to just welcome you and thank you for being here. And I do love to put the fun into functional nutrition. And so that's one of the reasons why I have been nicknamed the Funk Nut, so much so that I have it on my license plate in my car. But so, what does functional really mean? What is a functional nutrition and lifestyle? And working with a functional lens means that you are taking into view all of the different factors that might be affecting someone's health or contributing to someone's health and listening to what the body is telling us. So the body is boss. It's going to tell us exactly what we need to know. We just have to listen. And when we're working functionally, obviously, we're working on a focus with nutrition and lifestyle, but we're also working on how to make changes, how to create positive habits. And oftentimes, those are the big pieces that are holding people back, in addition to the nutrition and lifestyle challenges. So our everyday activities are some of our habits, if you want to think about it that way. And we've got good, bad, and ugly ones. And to get rid of your bad and ugly habits is an unrealistic thought or expectation. So one of the things that I always share with people is be really gentle and kind with yourself. And we're just going to minimize some of those bad and ugly habits that might be contributing to your wellness issues and really focus on the good ones. Another big thing with nutrition, functional nutrition, is that we focus on what's called root cause resolution. So it goes way beyond the diagnosis and maybe a protocol that's been given to you. And it really focuses on a unique plan for each unique individual and their needs for health. So what we do is we work with all other healing modalities to fill in gaps. So for example, if you're working with a therapist or a Western medical professional, we help the client to make the changes that might be shared by those 2 professionals. For an example, an MD may share with you rather that you need to eat like more veggies, reduce stress, and exercise. That's kind of a real typical trifecta that they might share. But after your 15-minute consult with them, there is no follow-up and there's no how-to for you to be able to do that. So functionally, we look much deeper into why things are happening, how you might be struggling, and then what you can do to make the changes actually happen and become long-term as opposed to a quick fix. So working functionally takes the confusion out of getting well and provides a lot of clarity into how to do it. And that's a nice thing. What I really hope that you take away from today is some kind of an aha moment or a eureka moment, as I call it. So like kind of when everything comes together, when some of the information, some of the things that you already know make sense and it makes the path to follow them even easier. Or literally you go, oh my gosh, that's why I feel this certain way. So part of it, again, is we're going to cover why your unique plan and path is yours and why you may be struggling. We're going to cover the how to better understand how your symptoms might be affecting you and provide clarity to those symptoms. And then we're going to cover what. So what to do, how to make the changes that are necessary for a lifestyle and habit that works well for you in the long term. I hope you're going to enjoy. We're going to do a case study to see if anything resonates with you. And I'm going to leave you with some tools that you can use right away. And because I am the functional nutritionist, I'm going to share things with a lot of humor and levity, and that's who I am. So I am working with 3 screens. So if you see me looking over here, that's where my presentation is. Here's all the legal mumbo jumbo. When you get the recording, you will be able to read that in its entirety if you would like, and you're more than welcome to do that. But we're going to get started on the good stuff, which is this. So the 3 truths about our health are: everything is connected, all things matter, and we are all unique. So let's explore each one of those. So if you think about it, everything that is around your health is connected in one way or another to these 3 truths. And these 3 truths are unique as your fingerprint, because the things that make up each truth about you is uniquely you. The everything is connected piece, we're going to discuss this by sharing what I call the 8 wellness factors. And it's going to help to uncover why in regards to how you might be struggling. Our all things matter is a very exciting truth, because that talks about what we call these upstream and downstream concepts that we're going to discuss, and something called the muddy waters that are in between. And it really helps to explain and clarify how you might be struggling, how you arrived to where you are today. And it takes some of the mystery around why you feel the way that you do out. And that's a huge piece. Clarity is golden. And then I'm going to explain how all things matter to your overall state of wellness and how you feel. And then finally, we are all unique. That's where I'm going to talk about a case study. And I did promise in my, however you got here today, I did promise that I was going to share my story. And so usually I share a client's story that has allowed me to share it anonymously. But today I'm going to share my story with you. And this way I can talk a little bit more freely about certain things. And we're going to look at the root cause resolution as to what happened and how we figured all that out. Why I struggled, how things happened for me, and then what I did to restore my health. So I hope you are all ready to get started. So here we have a great visual, I'm quite proud of it, of how everything is connected, and our first truth, the why you may be struggling. And remember that working functionally means to focus on nutrition and lifestyle and how to make changes and support the positive habits. Well, here are all the areas that we pay attention to and focus on when we are trying to make a change to our health. Overwhelming, right? I mean, and I just kind of want to put out here how many of us look at when we want to make some kind of a physical change, that we do start looking at things in this manner. We look at all the things that we need to change, as opposed to looking at maybe one thing that we want to change, or we don't trust that looking at one area is going to affect the other areas enough for us to even just focus on that one area. So if I were to ask you to rate your level of satisfaction from 0 to 10, with 0 being horrible, couldn't be worse, to 10 being super awesome in any one of these different areas, we can find out how it might impact the other wellness factors. So if we looked at, let's say, nutrition, for example, and let's say the person who I was working with said, my nutrition's about a 4. I eat okay, but I eat a lot of fast food and I eat out more than I want to. And I'm still having the diet sodas and I still have some refined sugar and I eat cereal in the morning. And yeah, I just know that I could be eating a little bit better. I'd rate that about a 4 out of 10. And so what I would ask them is I would say, well, okay, so what would it be for you? What would you have to do to change to make it rate a 6 out of 10? And then they would say, well, okay, from a 4 to a 6, maybe what I do is I would add some more vegetables, or I'd add a salad to my lunch, or I'd take out, a diet soda. Instead of eating 3 a day or drinking 3 a day, I'd drink 2 a day. So that person kind of starts to feel like, okay, from going from a 4 to a 6, there's already a plan there, right? So this is one of the pieces that I want you to be able to take away today is look at these 8 different factors and make a decision. Which one area do you want to focus on today? And which one do you want to maybe make a change in? So rate it from 0 to 10, 0 being horrible, 10 being great, and just kind of go 2 above whatever you rate it. And what would you need to do to make it feel like going from, in this example again, from a 4 to a 6? Now, here's the big piece. When I'm talking with my potential clients or my clients about this, and we are talking about nutrition going from a 4 to a 6, I ask them the question, now, what would it do to your emotional rating if your nutrition just went up from 4 to 6? Remember, you're not focusing on emotion, or you're not focusing on physical or sleep or respiratory or environmental, habitual, genetic. You're not focusing on any of those. But what would it do to, let's say, emotional, your stress levels? And they always say, I think it would improve it, or it would definitely improve it, because if I was eating better, I would sleep better, and then I wouldn't be so stressed. Oh, wait a minute, sleep is another factor. So you can start to see that just by working on that one factor, that you're going to be impacting all of these factors that just moments ago overwhelmed you enough to say, maybe now is not the time to get started, because I'm looking at all of these and going, overwhelmed. So we want to just look at it for really what it is. And we want to look at, this is why you might be struggling, because you might have looked at this kind of schematic, if you will, not this diagram, but you might have looked at your moving forward with your healing and your health in this way, and it stopped you before you even got started. So the beautiful thing about this is that we start to better understand why we might be struggling in a certain area when we focus on just one of these factors. And again, this is going to come in a little bit more when we start talking about the case study in the end. So everything is connected, the 8 wellness factors that you just saw and why you struggle. So remember, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. Now, number 2, all things matter. This is how the symptoms affect you. And this is a better understanding of how we got to where we are. So have you ever asked yourself the question, I used to be XYZ in my 20s or my teens, and now I am ABC in my 30s, in my 40s, in my 50s. This is going to help you to better understand how the symptoms affect you and how you got to where you are. And this is the path that your body took to get to where you are. And this is crucial to better understanding root cause resolution. So upstream means all of the things that happened to us potentially earlier in life, maybe even before we were born. It might be generational, and it may be how it's affecting how we feel today. So the where did it start that is creating the present state or situation in part, and that's answered here. So the downstream, that's answered in the upstream. The downstream means all of the symptoms that we feel in our present wellness state or condition, good or bad. And so if we think about a river, everything upstream flows downstream, and we can feel very well in our river, or we might be struggling with symptoms and disease, or dis-ease, as I like to put it. So then there's these muddy waters, which are right in between. And if you've ever watched water from a river go into the ocean, you'll see there's these muddy waters as everything kind of combines. So these muddy waters, this is where there are questions without answers. This is where we're not sure why we feel as we do. And we don't have the clarity to know how to make the changes and what changes to even make. It's muddy. And this is where the frustration lies. So I even can't make the frustration fun. I can only make it muddy. But the muddy waters are truly the mid place of the upstream and downstream information when you're not feeling well. And when you are feeling well, the muddy waters are minimal or they don't exist at all. So that's a really interesting piece. So coming back, we talked about everything is connected with the 8 wellness factors and how you struggle or why you struggle. And now we understand a little bit more of the how. All things matter, our upstream issues, our downstream symptoms, and then how things affect you. So let's move on to and explore me in this case. I don't usually like to use my own story because I kind of feel like it draws the attention on me. But again, I've never done this, so it will be very interesting to see how you like it. But this way I can speak very freely because it's me. So number 3 is we are all unique. This is what you can do. And so we're going to go ahead and start to better understand the whole picture. And then once you understand the whole picture, you better understand the root cause. You better understand where to start in the 8 factors, and then what you can do to help yourself. And it really does become then a team effort. And I'll speak more into that in a minute. But so my downstream symptoms, I'm going to start with downstream because that's where most of us go is the negativity and the things that are causing us the pain. So my downstream symptoms were severe sleep disruption. I was only sleeping about 3 hours a night. It was very, very bad. Horrible night sweats, horrible hot flashes, horrible perimenopause and menopausal symptoms, digestive issues from as far back as I can remember. I had what was diagnosed as IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, but I had over like the last 10 years rather, I had severe bloating, what's something called SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I had rapid unexplained weight gain and then weight loss resistance. So gained a lot of weight, almost 30 pounds. It was about 25 pounds. Didn't change how I ate, didn't change how I moved, had always been very athletic, and then couldn't lose it to save myself. When I got some blood serum tests done, it showed insulin resistance. From a functional perspective, but not from a conventional Western medical perspective. I had a lot of pain all over my body, muscular pain, joint pain. I became depressed and had anxiety. I even ended up with PTSD, something that I thought was unrelated, but was somewhat related. I had a whole lot of brain fog. I would have never been able to do what I'm doing today, presenting. I had all kinds of word finding issues, short and long-term memory loss, I really thought that I was going down an Alzheimer's or a dementia, and I giggled, but it wasn't funny at the time, because I really thought that's where I was going. And I had a lot of neurological imbalances too. I actually had a neurological tumor removed, and I had a lot of like restless legs, balance issues, things like that. So those were my downstream issues, and those literally were a sampling of them. I had more. I was miserable. I was truly miserable. Upstream issues. So when I started understanding functional nutrition and lifestyle, I actually became a functional nutritionist because I needed somebody who I could turn to, and I figured I would get a community and better understand these things. And that's exactly what happened. So my own healing, I want to now be able to give back to all the people who feel just like me, or worse or different, because again, we're all unique. My upstream issues were digestive issues from birth. I had undiagnosed food sensitivities. I was being fed, unbeknownst to my mother, had no idea, all the wrong things, all the wrong things. So my poor little gut as an infant was already very damaged. I led a chronically high stress lifestyle, and it was a lot to do with my AAA personality. And I thought that was great until I was in my early 30s and it started to really affect me. But until then, I was, the beast. I had physical trauma from a lot of my equestrian endeavors and a couple of car accidents. So I had multiple concussions, a couple of severe ones, and then the PTSD. I had been over exercising for decades. I had some substance abuse in my teens. And then perimenopause and menopause was my final trigger. That's when my body said, enough, can't do it, don't want to do it, not gonna do it. And so that's when I learned about and was able to look at my 8 factors, was able to look at upstream, downstream, and was able to figure out my root cause. And my root cause was something called HPA axis dysfunction, which is hypothalamic, I can't say the word, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. That's part of the fun in functional, is that I can't say a lot of these words. But really what it is it's my root cause is stress, chronic stress, and that can lead to HPA axis dysfunction, and it can cause consistently increased cortisol levels in the body, and that increased my risk for a variety of health issues, a variety of cascading hormonal issues, which led into the perimenopause, menopause issues. I could go on, but I'm not going to. My muddy waters were that my doctors were unable to help. They only diagnosed me with IBS. All the tests came back in normal ranges. I had CAT scans. I had all kinds of pretty significant testing, and everything came back from a Western medicine perspective as normal. From a functional medicine perspective, it was not normal. It was far from normal. And that's how we were able to figure all of this out. The final straw for me was about in 2015 was when I went to the doctor, and she patted me on the leg and she said, there, you're just aging. You're just going to have to accept all these things, and there's nothing we can do. The healthcare system is not set up to help and resolve, and they're definitely not set up for root cause resolution. Now, I am not hitting hard negatively on the healthcare system, on doctors, because they're doing exactly what they have been trained to do. But our healthcare system has not been set up to help us in the way that a functional medicine or functional nutrition lifestyle system can. And that's where the difference comes in. So remember how the eight wellness factors were used. This is what I did. So the first thing that I did was I started to focus on my sleep wellness factor. That was the only one I did. And it ended up being a dumb luck choice for me, really, because HPA Access Healing begins with rest, restoration, sleep. But because I was sleeping so little, I was like, that's the first thing I need to do. Nutrition was second, and it was kind of like interconnected a little bit, but it was on, and it's ongoing. Emotional stress, absolutely, because that is the root cause, the chronic stress. That's going to be, I think, lifetime ongoing for me just because of my AAA personality. And physical is fourth, plus the other four wellness factors that you saw. But really, what I did was I started with the one and I started to see others change. And not only that, I was then able to start putting more effort into some of the other areas because I was actually resting and starting to heal. So when we look at this whole way of healing, this is a lifestyle versus a diet. This is not a quick fix. So there are no quick fixes here. There's no trends to follow. There's no one size fits all. I can't say that enough. The changes that were necessary for me to make were first a little bit uncomfortable, but they far outweighed that little teeny bit of discomfort, far outweighed the quick satisfaction of a quick fix because I had gone through a gazillion of them and none of them worked. And my long-term happiness and health have been so rewarding because of this. So when we have someone commit to their wellness goals, it's really important for that person to find somebody to help them, because having that helping person helps you to sort through the muddy waters together. And that's crucial because often you cannot see the forest for the trees anymore. You're too deeply into it. And so when we look at, again, our three different truths about health, we are all unique. This happened to be my story. I usually use somebody else's, but this is the what you can do about it. So here's what we've basically covered. We covered these three truths. Everything is connected, all things matter, and we are all unique. And we're looking at creating health through a very strategic approach. We have our 8 wellness factors, which if you can remember all 8 of them, that's awesome. You have no brain fog. Congratulations. If you can only remember 1 or 2, that's fine too. Doesn't matter because you're going to be getting a recording of this and you can look at them and you can decide which one you want to start with. The root cause resolution is the big deal. It's the big kahuna here because we're clarifying those muddy waters to help us to better understand the root cause of the issues and then focus on those issues so that you can heal. And you might have noticed there's an arbor or a tree theme here, not only in this presentation, but I just actually redid my website and it's all in the website too. That's because all of this, not only because I'm a tree hugger, but the branches, the leaves of the tree, everything we see above the tree or the ground rather of a tree, those are the symptoms, the signs, the diagnosis. Those are the downstream things that we just talked about. The roots are the upstream things. They're the 8 wellness factors, especially when we look at genetics and inflammation and digestion. That's where those roots come in. The soil that the roots grow in, that's the terrain, and that's the conditions that the roots get to grow in. And so that terrain is what we can do and manipulate when we understand what the root cause is. So when we uncover your needs using the 3 truths, we can focus on that soil and the roots, the root cause, in order to be able to have the branches and what we see outwardly as the tree to be as healthy and beautiful as possible. And so you have options. This is the big deal. When I got that pat on the leg, I felt so deflated. I didn't think I had any more options. But you're not stuck with any one medical model anymore. You have so many options that you can choose from and to focus on your wellness the way you want to focus and heal. And that's a very personal choice. But you have so much power within yourself to make positive, long-term changes to your muddy waters. It is going to require you to be humble, coachable, willing, vulnerable. And then when we embark on something like this, we can often feel really vulnerable, and rightly so. But that's why it's so important to find somebody to work with where you feel connected and comfortable with them, so that you can make sure you have the opportunity to meet with them, one-on-one, to make sure that you have a full understanding of who they are and how the two of you connect, and whether or not you're both even on the same page for yourself. So make sure that you can connect with that person to better understand who they are, and whether or not you're the right person for them to move forward with them. So if this resonates with you, I'm going to quickly put into the chat this link. There you go. So here's this link. If this resonates with you, I have got an assessment on my webpage. A free assessment takes about 2 minutes, and it will give you some resource materials at the end, regardless of where you get to as far as the answer is concerned. But it will give you an idea of whether or not working with somebody like myself is a good idea for you to do and to explore, or not. And then one thing that I do offer is discovery sessions that are complimentary. They're an hour long, and that gives us an option to a time to be able to look at what uniquely might be important for you. And so I invite you to sign up for one of those if you feel like that is something that might be able to help you. So I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording right now. And